The
日本人需
majority
要
of
什么？
people in Japan are so brainwashed to allow this US control over the Japanese land and air, because Peter and I were just flying from Naha to Tokyo, and I was telling him pretty much much of the sky in Tokyo is taken by the United States, right? Military. It's called the Yokota Rapcom. But the people in Tokyo don't seem to care. It's not secret. It's not much reported, but if you look for some information, there are books and newspaper reports on it. But then most of the people in Japan are like, oh, okay, I didn't know that. Aircraft spending like hundreds of millions of dollars every year, extra energy cost just to protect the US airspace over Tokyo. I think the right-wing governor, Ishihara Shintaro, actually talked about it before. But then why do we allow this happen? If this was another country, if this was China or Russia or Korea or Germany or whatever, if it was another country, would Japan actually allow it? No. So why is the United States allowed to do anything that Japanese wouldn't allow other countries to do? Because of, I think, the 80 years of brainwashing, after the defeat in the war, Japan has been suffering sort of a Stockholm syndrome. Japan is willingly subservient to the United States. And of course, there's a lot of propaganda, the media propaganda mostly, because Japanese media is mostly copying the Western media that is heavily influenced by Western information agencies and CIA and MI6 and military-industrial complex. And so vilifying or demonizing of the US adversarial countries like Russia and DPRK and China is just so enormous. So Japanese people are led more to love the United States. We have to rely on the United States. And that kind of thinking has to be changed and look for more alternative sources. For example, I got heavily criticized in my article just by quoting Sputnik. I'm allowed to look at different sources. I'm allowed to look at what does any situation look like from the eyes of China, from the eyes of DPRK, from the eyes of Russia. I think that's the job of a journalist. It has significantly changed for the last few years. So I think it is a time for people in Japan or anywhere to try to get different sources of information, especially for the Japanese people, to try to get out of this US-centered kind of Stockholm kind of thinking about the United States. How can you let so much of your land and air, taken by a foreign military? How can you allow this? Just ask yourself. That's my most important question to the majority of people in Japan.